This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM. Next on the programme, one of our listeners has gotten in contact with us over the growing problem of public transport on Dublin's north side, in particular Finglas and Ballymun. She says that on the morning buses it's now become dangerous for children, full of arguments, children crying and people unable to breathe. And Stacey joins me on the line. Stacey, this is a huge problem.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point now that me and another girl have decided now, like, we're constantly emailing everyone we can to try and get a TD to talk to us. And only this morning when I was at the bus stop, there was a group of other people that, like locals that would be at the bus stop, and they were like, enough is enough. We're going to end up just protesting because it's gotten that bad that yesterday my daughter was elbowed into the nose and then she was hit in the stomach because it was that crowded. I actually put a picture up of how packed the bus is where you can't even see. The man in front of me was literally on my face and people were screaming saying, can you get us off this bus, in the middle of the road, begging to get off the bus.
Now, you're not the first person I've heard complaining about public transport in the Finglas area, and I know there's been a campaign to get the Luas to go there and everything else. Mind you, even when the Luas ever did come to Finglas, it's probably going to be packed because the Luas is packed to capacity as it is. It's
gone beyond like just an issue of not being able to get a bus. Like, we were an hour and 7 minutes waiting to get on a bus. It was 11 buses before we could get on one. And there was a woman there, the other girl that's doing it with me, she has a young daughter and a young son. And the kids, like, it's not just the children, it's people trying to get to work, like people to be getting docked wages. There's people like standing there and they're telling you, like, they're on the phone to their boss saying, I can't get a bus, like they're trying to get a taxi. Then you're stuck obviously with the Lewis too down Constitution Hill area and stuff. You can't get anywhere. And Dublin bus, like the drivers, most of them are amazing. Like, they'd be radioing in saying, can you please send buses? And Dublin buses' hands are tied because it's all on Shane Ross and NTA. You try and contact Shane Ross, you're blanked. You send in, I submitted in over 75 complaint forms that you fill out for Dublin bus. They're supposed to reply within 3 days, not once. Not only me, but everyone in the area has that I've talked to.
So tell me, Stacey, on an average day, what bus are you talking about in particular?
140s, 40s, 40 days, and if you're lucky, you might see a 40B once every hour and a half.
Okay, so those buses in particular are absolutely rammed to capacity.
Do you know what? It's that bad that I have a friend that lives at one of the first stops, and he'd often message me and say, I'm after mentioning to get on, but it's already full. So he tries to give me a heads up. You can't actually get on. Like, last week, I ended up in an argument with a man because 2 days before that, 2 days in a row, basically men were literally pushing women out of the way to get on the bus. And on the third morning that I knew it was going to happen, I put myself in the way to protect a woman with her pram and another lady with her kid and my own daughter. And the man tried to shove me and I said, you're not getting on. I was like, you haven't been here first and this is ridiculous. You're pushing women out of the way. And the abuse I got off him, like, there was witnesses to it. The same yesterday, as I said, most of the bus men and women, they're trying to do their best, you know what I mean? They either have to leave people standing there or pack so many people on that if there's a fire in that bus, you're not getting off. If there's a crash, you're dead. And the bus woman yesterday was so disgusting to me. Like, I asked her to stop the bus. I was like, please stop for a second. My daughter's face, she's after getting hit. Now, there was people that witnessed it, and she was that rude to me. She was like, well, what do you want me to do? I have a job to do. I was like, well, you're not doing your job.
Okay, but do me a favour, Stacey. Stay on the line there for 1 second. Yeah. I want to find out what you're planning to do about this. If you are from the Finglas area or anywhere where you're literally crammed like sardines into your public transport, I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. Is this just in the mornings or in the evenings, or is it all day, every day?
No, it's the mornings. You'll get a lull in the, after about 10 o'clock for a while. But then there's the problem of trying to get back out of town on the same buses because of the Lewis and Westmoreland Street. It took me 47 minutes to just get down, like, with no traffic this morning to get back because of the delay with the Lewis. But it's a case of, like, it's in the evening times too, you know what I mean? Even when the schools are off, it's still the same situation. It won't be as bad, but it's still as bad. Like, what we're trying to do up here is try and drum up media support and get someone, even if we can from the media, to come up in the morning and see how bad it is, so then we can have like more evidence of it. Then we want to get a TD. None of the people in control will answer to us. Now, I have people that I know in Dublin Bus who themselves have said they'd be happy to sign petitions, they'd be happy to stand with us as public and say, look, because they're getting stressed out. The abuse and bus people suffer because people like trying to get on the bus are stressed out. Like, what we need is the public and people that work in Dublin Bus to come together and get a representative of some TD from the area or someone to then be able to say, okay, look, this is a serious issue. If there's ever going to be a crash, everyone's dead on that bus.
Okay, now, as I said, well, maybe I didn't mention this yet. I know Noel Rock is a very active man when it comes to public transport. He's been campaigning, for example, for the Luas to be extended as far as Finglas.
No, we don't want that over this side. And the reason people are saying stop with the Luas is because anyone that drives, anyone that cycles, anyone that walks, anyone in general knows that where they have to put in that other Luas anyways is absolutely ridiculous. And I know someone in Dublin Bus who has told me that certain people in Dublin Bus have even said themselves that they're going to put bets on that there's going to be a crash on Pernell Street between a Luas and Dublin Bus because of the way it's built and the way the traffic is set up. That Luas was a mistake to put down from Westmoreland.
Yeah, but it's done now. There's not much we can do about it. It's there,
but
Stacey.
We don't want it over Finglas area. It's not going to service us. Like, and then the man that came from Canada that's supposed to help the transport system, he wants to take buses out housing estates, and that the buses won't service in through housing estates anymore. It'll only be on main roads. Now, if you stood out in the Finglas Road, which I hope someone in the media will happily come and do it, even for one morning, I can guarantee you take them buses out of the housing estates, they're going to have about 4 times even more. Like, you're talking some more than 60 people at a bus stop. And you can imagine, you take them housing estate bus stops away, what's going to happen. Like, it is atrocious. Like, kids get out of bed and adults are getting up at 6:15 in the morning to make what should be at the most a half an hour journey into the city centre, and you're lucky if you get into town for 9 o'clock. Like, you're lucky. Like, it's not only, it's the fights, like, people literally to be going at each other. It's like, we call it the purge. Like, that's why our bus stop is known as, all right, we're all going to the purge, like, because you're literally fighting to get on the bus. And you're grabbing, like, some kids that go to the bus stop, like the older kids without their parents, and you're finding yourself grabbing them kids closer to you because there's adults pushing them onto the road. Like, it's, I've put up pictures of how bad it is, but there's morning, so, like, obviously to protect other people's identities, you know what I mean? I don't want to be putting up full videos, but it's disgusting. It's absolutely. So
tell me again what happened to your daughter yesterday.
Yesterday, there was usually, the same busmen do the same routes, but it was a new buswoman. And as I said, most busmen and women are amazing. But this woman, by the time it was at my stop already, we couldn't get a bus for ages. And when we got on this one, it was full to capacity, beyond full to capacity. And I always make sure to stand as far up as I can, because obviously when you go into the crowd, you get more injuries. So the woman let on way too many. And the man standing in front of me said to her, look, you can't get any more on. Sure, they're telling me to move, but I can't move because the doors are opening and hitting me. So with that, she got to this stop just afterwards, which is impossible to get anyone on. And she still was like, I'm going to squash people on. And her way of putting it to everyone was, well, I have a job to do and these people need to get places. And we were like, well, we know that, but you can't physically get anyone on. So she was determined, so she squashed another 4 on. With that, the person that got on had a giant bag on their back because there's no room in the baggage area, and threw an elbow and caught my daughter in the nose. And at the same time, just as that person moved, the other person behind them, like, moved their arm while trying to squash past and caught her in the stomach. And she let out a screech, like if you're winded. And I was trying to see, cause she was behind me, but because it was so packed, there was another person who would get me kind of squashed trying to get between us. And I was like, hey, okay. And she was sobbing, crying. And another girl who was squashed kind of facing us, seeing it herself, and she was like, oh my God, is she all right? And I shouted at the bus woman, will you stop the bus for a second? My daughter's injured. And the response I got was, what the F can I do? I have to do my job. And I said, yeah, there's a child injured and another lady who is an elderly lady who's a regular on my bus, and the poor lady no one can even give her a seat. She only goes a few stops. No one could ever give her a seat, you know what I mean? So she'd just be squashed. She was like, can I get off this bus? Can I get off this bus? She was panicking. And in order to get anyone off the bus, you had to squashed further, if you get me. So, like, you're already compressed. I put a picture up of how squashed, like, you can just see a black thing in front of me, a man's coat, and the bus, we had to get even more compressed while I had a screaming, crying child. Another woman was squashed with her daughter, and we were trying to get people squashed down more to get the old lady off the bus. And I couldn't even check my child proper. The child had sweat rolling down her face because of the pain. When she was in school, the teacher said to me, even after school, she was like, your little one was, I won't say names, wasn't well. Her stomach, she told me what happened. I was like, I know. And her nose was after being swollen over too. And I was that angry, and I'm not a violent person, but all I kept saying was, thank God there was a petition between me and the bus woman and a crowd, because in that moment, and it wasn't just me, thankfully there was other people that were witnesses to it. Now, I straight away tweeted into Dublin Bus and said to them exactly what had happened. I said, this is disgusting. This isn't the first time that not only my child, other people, not just children, have been injured. There was a woman that was pregnant a few weeks ago. She had to be taken off the bus of Bisborough because she was fainting because of the crowds on the bus. Like, it's...
Well, an awful lot of people were being flooded with people contacting us about this. One message, for example, says Finglas and Meekstown in particular is screaming for better public services.
Yeah.
Thousands of houses were and still are being built without any increase in the buses.
That's what they've done, exactly what they've done. They built up the area and took away the services.
The guy who sent this text says, bring on the Lewis to Finglas as soon as possible. You're saying no to that?
No, because what we're being told up here is they're planning to bring it over from the Groombridge area over to this area. Now, anyone that drives down the Finglas Road knows, especially come Fridays, all that Glasnevin Road, Constitution Hill area, Whitworth Road, you're lucky if you get down that road. And since the Lewis has been there, especially coming back in the evenings, the delays are atrocious. And then by the time you get down a certain area, the secondary schools are coming out. You know, you have to if you can't make it at a certain time, if you're late getting to a bus at a certain time, etc., you're adding an hour on, to your journeys and stuff. Look, you actually would have to send someone out to record it. No,
I have seen it myself, and I know it is a problem. And as somebody says, the issue of unsafe overcrowding on buses is most certainly not confined to the Finglas area.
No, it's everywhere. It's just gotten, in the last year up here, we have had so many buses, seem to be cut. Or it's the fact that because the area has so many new people in it, in 2011, I think it was just under around 300,000 around this area. Now, that's 2011. The amount of houses gone up, apartments gone up, businesses, etc., that's easily doubled. And our services have been cut. We've lost buses in the last 3 years. You know, they've cut the times of the buses. They're supposed to come, they used to come every 7 to 10 minutes. That doesn't happen anymore. And then if they try and send the extra bus after a bus in the morning, you're still not getting it. Often a bus will pull up at the stop, will open the back door, let 2 people off and drive off. There's no hope of getting on a bus. And then you try and get a taxi. Now, I got a taxi one morning. It cost me €39 to get from the Finglas Road into O'Connell Street.
Well, we did get on to Fine Gael TD Noel Rock, who's the local TD in the area. He wasn't available this morning, but I know public transport is something that he's been really heavily campaigning about in the Finglas area.
Well,
he's the one who wants to lose it.
Do something, because Noel Rock has been mentioned a few times, and I can guarantee you Noel Rock is being contacted to stand out on a bus stop in the mornings, and they have, he has not replied. No one has replied, and because this has been talked about before, and he's all for campaigning, but he has not literally once done anything in the area to show that he wants to change it. I've everyone that I know, involved in this, what we're planning to do, has asked him to come down and meet with a group of people and represent us and stand with us, and you're ignored. He's all talk and no action, the same as the rest of them. And what's going to happen is there's going to be an incident where someone's going to either be hurt, or the whole of this area and many other areas around the city that also experience this crap every day are all just going to protest, because what we're aiming to do is that if these people are supposed to be representing don't actually do their job, everyone is going to protest against it. And whether that means that we have to go out and get on buses and refuse to pay on them buses and not get off the buses.
Okay, but you're saying this is a very dangerous situation, and I'm being contacted by loads of people about different bus routes. The 76 from Chapelizod to Tala in the morning is exactly the same as what that girl is describing. I've made numerous complaints. Well, just on the pram thing, I got a message there a second ago. I am a woman, and I have to say, women with prams and kids need to be banned from trains and buses until after rush hour. Idiots won't fold up the pram and ram it into the rest of us who are trying to get to work. They cause so much hassle, and it's all about them and their kids always. And that's from a woman saying that.
No, they can't fold up prams. Now, I understand one sense sometimes you do see that happen, but I also know, again, from hundreds of people around this area and everyone, I've seen the complaints going in myself and I've heard it from everyone, that people don't bring prams. My neighbour has a baby that's 3 months old. But I have to be honest, Stacey, I see women with prams on my bus route every day of the week. There are on most buses, but what I'm saying is it's so bad up here that people don't bring their prams. Because even if they want to fold it, they can't. So
we're going to. You've highlighted now, and it's an issue that is going to be highlighted even more over the next while, because we're being contacted by so many people about this. It's absolutely disgraceful that Dublin buses are getting so packed that children are getting hurt. The company has a lot to answer for, says that message. And then another one says, can you ask why drivers allow more people on the bus than is safe? This frequently happens on the 40 from Clondalkin in the mornings, which is often chock full by the time it hits Inchicore. And a lot of people on about this, and I know it's a daily problem for people trying to get in and out of work every day, that if you're not on at the very first stop on your route, by the time you do get on the bus, you're standing, you're squashed. It's very, very uncomfortable. And this isn't just the case with Dublin Bus. I hear from colleagues here in work every single day of the week that they are putting up with the same thing on the Luas every day, particularly the Green Line Luas, jammed to capacity ever since it was extended cross city. It is very difficult for people on the Luas. Anyway, thanks very much indeed, Stacey, for highlighting it. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM.